nuclear technology, in the classroom we talked about energy. So energy that we are going to take later, but then there are two more part of the nuclear technology that we have not discussed, I think. Nuclear agriculture and nuclear medicine. Had we discussed it? किया था इसको? Anyway, in nuclear agriculture part, there are two aspects of it. And recently it was in news also because Government of India has allowed private company to get into the nuclear agriculture, and there are two aspects I'll tell you that development of new crop variety. That is the one thing. And their Vava Atomic Research Center that works, and they have developed around 49 new crop variety, new crops. So Bhabha Atomic Research Center, they have produced around 49 new crop varieties in India. Many of them are being used, and many of such crop varieties are basically pulses and oilseeds, right? So that is even more important. The technology they use is radiation, and by this radiation they basically change genetic makeup. Again, it is a kind of mutation, right? Because we know that radiation has its effect onto the genetic makeup, and any radiation on any living creature may lead to genetic changes into it, and we cannot take such chance on human being because we know that most of the mutations that occur are harmful. But if you are making any crop, you are developing any crop, you can take as many chances you want. So seeds are taken, the seeds are put under radiation, and then the seeds are grown. If they find something useful, they select it. If they find something harmful, they discard it. So it's a long process, takes a lot of time, but then with this technology we have developed around 49, around 50 you can say, crop plants in India and the better varieties. Because sometimes what happens that silencing a gene can also lead to a good character into the plant which is useful for the human beings. So that is one thing. Another is called food irradiation. Food irradiation. This was in news because of private company participation, right? And food irradiation are basically used in mainly in food preservation and packing, and obviously export. So what is there in food irradiation? That there we use low power gamma radiation. So gamma radiation. And this gamma radiation it has put onto the food itself, food like let's say spices, dry fruits, mainly we use in that. Spices are very much important, and we export it all through the world. And there used to be just one food irradiation center in the entire India, that was in Mumbai Wasi. And in Mumbai Wasi, the food irradiation center will use controlled gamma radiation onto the spice to kill all the fungus and bacteria and insects which is present on or inside the spices. Because sometimes the spice inside is also, it has got a fungal growth, you might have seen, right? But gamma radiation will do one thing, that radiation will not disrupt the structure of the spice, but it will go inside, it will kill all the possible fungus, bacteria, insects, and every possible degrading agent that it has got. And once you have done it, then the spices will not have any decomposing agent. Then you vacuum seal packet. I mean, you put into the packet which are vacuum sealed. Now, if you go to the supermarket, you will find that the spices are coming, dry fruits are coming in a vacuum seal packet. So vacuum seal means there is no oxygen as well. And when there is no oxygen, no air, then oxidation will not occur, and even the growth of pathogen will not occur. Every pathogen that was there inside, it has been already killed by the gamma radiation. So what will happen? The shelf life of this spices will increase. So the spice which could last for 1 year, now it will be last for 3 years. And then the export industry will have benefit out of it. Same can be done with the dry fruits. Even it can be done with the green vegetables and fruits also, but then it is not being used because these are the perishable item anyway. We use cold storage and the other system. Because the food irradiation has one problem. The problem is not that radiation will harm your body, because it is a controlled gamma radiation. The problem is that if you put the gamma radiation onto any food, then it will distort the taste of it. There will be some chemical degradation also, right? So fruits and vegetable might undergo the chemical degradation where the taste will be little changed. But when it comes to the spices and dry fruits, then it is a highly priced area, market, and a little bit chemical degradation will not make any difference, because the spices are very high in flavor, right? For Indian people, even the flavor is little bit down, we will sense it. But think of European people, usko to kam power kahi chahiye. For them, it's good that the clove is having a little degraded flavor, right? It was in news because the private company, private sector was included in food irradiation. That was the thing, because it is a risky affair. So government has set the procedure and a standard for it. And now because government cannot take care of the entire segment which is growing, so private sector has been put into the food irradiation. So that is about nuclear agriculture. This area is being done by the BARC itself. Nobody else is working over there. But then this is something which is important. So lots of concept can come up. Which radiation we use, gamma radiation we use, which kind of gamma radiation, controlled gamma radiation with the low power, right? And then food irradiation mechanism is what that I'll explain. The next one is nuclear medicine. Nuclear medicine. And there we have isotope as medicine. So different isotopes we have, and we use it at medicine. Let's say iodine 125, that is used to in the treatment of thyroid cancer. Iodine 131, the treatment of eye cancer. So these are the two important aspects. Second one is radiotherapy. Here we use cobalt-60 for cancer cell killing. So cobalt-60 will emit gamma radiation, and this gamma rays will kill cancerous cell. The third area we call it radioisotope dressing. And there we use isotopes of nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, and we make the people consume it. So once you consume the radioisotope, it will be there into the body circulation. It will emit certain radiation, and this radiation will be catched by something called PET, positron emission topography. So PET. It is tomography, anatomy, tomography, and then we get to know about the internals of the body and the functional aspect of it. So radioisotope dressing, that means replacing a normal chemical in the body with a radioactive chemical. Radioactive chemical will take place of the normal chemical, and then it will move around into the body. There will be instrument like PET, and the PET will catch this radiation, it will give the image of it. That is why you might have come across, कलर डॉपलर अलग है, वो कलर डॉपलर तो दूसरा है, वो तो डॉपलर इफेक्ट है. Many time हार्ट टेस्ट में वो कुछ पिलाते हैं पहले, they make you drink something and then or inject something into the blood stream and then they will get it done, right? और बेरियम सल्फेट डाल के फिर उसका एक्सरे करते हैं. So these all come into that way. So nuclear agriculture was in news because of the private sector inclusion into this food irradiation, but then it made the entire thing important, and lots of things happening at the nuclear medicine level also. If we talk about nuclear energy, then we have talked in length with that. It's not a new thing, but then I'll indicate what are the important aspects. First of all, thorium is also always important. So get hold of the thorium thing.
Radioisotope tracing, can you once explain?
Radioisotope tracing, I'll tell you one thing. Let's say if we have to explore, or let's say we find out the effect of a particular medicine in the body. I mean medicine, how medicine is going to a particular place and how it is working, right? If we created a medicine for liver, so the medicine must be reaching to the liver tissue. If it is reaching to the liver tissue, then it will be effective. But it should not reach the kidney, because in kidney it will have the adverse effect. So what we do, let's say this medicine that we have developed, it has got nitrogen. So normally nitrogen 14 is there, but in this medicine we are going to replace nitrogen 14 with nitrogen 15. And then we'll put this medicine into the body of volunteers. The volunteer will be eating this medicine of N15 radioisotope laced medicine for let's say 10 days. And then what will happen? The urine sample will be taken from kidney, the liver tissue will be taken out, and then it will be analyzed. If we find good number of N15 over here, then it means that the amount of medicine reaching to the liver, because N15 can only be consumed when you are made to consume it, right, in a laboratory or controlled condition. And if we find a good number of N15 in kidney or urine sample, it means it is reaching to kidney also. So we can determine the efficacy or efficiency of any medicine into it, how it is reaching, how much time it is taking to reach over there. That is one thing. That is also called radioactive tracing. All the things in biology that we discuss, right, that has been determined by radioactive tracing long back. Now we have other technology also, but around that time it was the only technology we had. Right, nitrogen. Nitrogen is present in RNA, DNA and protein in all way. But then the entire RNA to DNA, DNA to RNA, RNA to protein, this is all structure that has been determined with the help of radioactive tracing only. Or let's say if we talk about any chemical or biochemical reaction occurring inside the body, that this particular maltose breaks into glucose and glucose. So that has been determined by this only. So this is one way to determine the medicines and all. And second one, that we put purposely into the bloodstream, there are some radioactive materials which is not dangerous. It is, I mean, it gives radiation, but the radiation is of milder version, and then it moves around the body in the blood circulation. And if it is there in blood circulation, then it will be emitting some kind of radiation. And there are very sensitive instruments that we have. And these instruments are so sensitive that it can trace the minimum amount of the radiation which is coming out of the these material that which has been pumped inside the body, and then it gives the image of the entire internal systems, like in a heart or blood circulation, and everything can be done. So in energy sector, I am telling thorium is very important because India has got a very large reservoir of thorium, and India's focus on thorium is that India want to become independent in terms of nuclear technology with the help of thorium reserve, and for that we are developing something called AHWR, Advanced Heavy Water Reactor. Advanced Heavy Water Reactor. Right. So thorium and AHWR. India is forerunner in thorium research in terms of energy. So what AHWR will do? AHWR will have fuel, and the fuel will be thorium uranium fuel cycle. So this will be used over there. So thorium will be converting into uranium, and uranium will be splitting and giving energy. So this is a new technology we are developing. No country in the world has developed it. India and China is basically working on this. China started little late, and we are the forerunner in this technology, right? So like I told you in a nuclear technology class that uranium and thorium, these two things were there which are naturally present, and we had to opt any one of them. Obviously we didn't opt. I mean, developed country, USA, they basically leading this technology, and they discarded thorium and they went for uranium. Why? Because thorium can give you only energy, but not weapon. But uranium can give you energy plus weapon. तो energy भी दे सकता है और weapon भी दे सकता है. So that is why I told you that this was one of the mistake of the mankind, that they basically didn't opt for thorium, and thorium is 3 times more than uranium. The total reserve of the thorium in the entire world is 3 times more than uranium. Right? Uranium is important, but then thorium, if you talk purely about energy, if we have to talk purely about energy, then best thing that we having is thorium. And now thorium has become very important and strategic because thorium is non-weaponized. India is a forerunner of thorium technology. If India could develop it, then what will happen? India can replicate this technology in its own energy supply, and it can also use into the other country of the world. Because thorium reactor लगाने में problem क्या है? If you put uranium reactor into any country, then uranium reactor can lead to formation of atomic bomb. But thorium reactor will not do that. So in our class, we have already talked about that how thorium is important than uranium. Right? And there are set of logic for that. First thing, thorium is 3 times more than uranium, so it is going to last longer. Second, thorium concentration in nature is 2 to 12% in its ore. So thorium ore is monazite sand or monazite rock, and there the concentration of thorium is 2 to 12%. Average, if you take about, it's 7%. Whereas uranium-235 is 0.7%. Right? So there is 0.7% and this is 7% average. That means you do not need to go under the very tough and technologically challenging process of enrichment, which is required in uranium, not required in thorium. Second thing, if thorium is 7%, then obviously you have to mine less to get more energy. So mining process will be less because you are getting 7%. There you are getting 0.7%. So per unit mining, the more energy will be given by thorium. You mine 1 truck of 500 tons of thorium, you will get more energy, and 500 tons of uranium, you will get less energy. I'm not talking about atomic level. Atomic level mein uranium will give you more energy. But mining is a process. We have to bother about mining because that is an environmental degrading process. And there also it is good. And the most important feature of the thorium is that it is non-weaponized, so it won't be having any, let's say, nuclear politics on it. It is just pure energy and that's it. So this is something UPSC has asked question long back. थोरियम पे बहुत दिनों से सवाल नहीं पूछा इन्होंने. लेकिन एक बार ये सवाल पूछा था कि per unit mining which one will give you more energy, right? So that is one thing. And second thing, in nuclear technology, energy sector, you have to talk about is ITER. This is basically getting now important. International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. India is part of it. International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. So it's an international project. Host is France. And in France there is a city called Cadrech. Cadrech में बन रहा है ये. This entire setup is being developed. And this is basically nothing but the fusion reactor. So world's largest fusion reactors of 500 megawatt energy production. This is a host country and the members are China, India, South Korea, USA, Russia, European Union. एक कौन रह गया? If France is there in European Union, 7 members are there. I just forgot it. तो ठीक है, अच्छा 6 ही है ना. चाइना, इंडिया, साउथ कोरिया, यूएसए. टॉप 5 में कौन कौन कंट्री है? G5, जापान. हाँ, जापान. हाँ, यही है, इतना ही है. So earlier it was, these two part were not there. यही सब मिलके चाह रहे थे बनाना, चाइना, यूएसए, रशिया, यूरोपियन यूनियन एंड जापान. But then they took us also. In 2007 we become part of this. And now in the next 5 years, basically the entire process will come into the action. And they will start producing, by 2030 they are saying that they will start producing fusion energy, sustainable fusion energy. So ITER is something that you need to understand. Recently there was a news about ITER that Australia became non-member party. Non-member party. That means it's not a member, but it's a party. That means Australia will give some input into this project and it will get limited access to the technology we are developing. Whereas this 7 country will have full access to the technology. European Union is basically having share of 45% in total cost, and rest of the 6 countries are having 9% cost each, right? So India is also having 9% cost bear. So India is bearing 9% of the total cost. China, South Korea, USA, Russia, Japan, and 45% cost is being borne by European Union, because the entire union is there, and the most important, France is having the establishment in itself. And if this becomes successful, it will be the first sustainable fusion reactor. Remember one thing, we have developed fusion reactors. We are having it in India. 22 fusion reactors are going on, but no fusion reactor are there in India which can produce energy and send it to our household, है ना? अब ये statement भी absolute नहीं है. Reason ये है that we do have fusion reactor, but the fusion reactor that we have are basically research reactors. So fission reactors, and we have 22 working reactors. That means the energy which is coming to your household may be coming from these reactors only. स्पेशली तमिलनाडु में तो आ ही रहा है लोगों, कलपक्कम कुडरकुलम फ्यूजन रिएक्टर. So we have only experimental reactor. And one such reactor is called Aditya in Gujarat. So this is one junction where the question can be asked. And obviously the question will not come from the news. Rather, there could be one issue that we are able to control and domesticate fission but not fusion. Why? Right. So we have to look at those areas. So fusion has some challenges. And challenge number one is that you have to maintain very high temperature. And that is in million degrees C. Million degrees centigrade. So that we can achieve plasma state. And third thing, energy. Positive reaction should be there. So till now it's not energy positive. That means the input energy is more and output energy is less. Let's say we have Aditya. So Aditya is experimental reactor. We are not going to produce any energy out of it. It's just like we do experiment on the plasma research or fusion research. But then in Aditya, if you put 10 megawatt energy, it will give you 8 megawatt energy. So there is no way out that we are going to use it. Energy input is more to maintaining all these things and the output become less. This is something, ITER is something, ITER ka concept ye hai, ITER, that it will get 50 megawatt energy and it will give you 500 megawatt energy. And we are close to getting it. So nuclear technology for prelims point of view, although it is not written, but then it becomes very important because it's a part of geography, energy, environment, economy. It's a most diverse area. न्यूक्लियर का मामला है ना कि ये सबसे ज्यादा डाइवर्सिटी अगर किसी पॉइंट में है तो इसी में है. इकोनॉमी में भी है, ज्योग्राफी में भी है, एनवायरमेंट में भी है, सिक्योरिटी, डिफेंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, एवरीथिंग इट हैज गॉट इट. One more thing in nuclear technology that you have to mention. Kudankulam is there in Tamil Nadu, yes. And there we have Russian establishment called VVER. अभी इंडिया का सबसे पावरफुल रिएक्टर वहीं पे है, VVER 1000. That means one reactor can produce 1000 megawatt energy. But there is some other place in Tamil Nadu that is called Kalpakkam. And there we are making India's first FBR, that is called fast breeder reactor. India's first fast breeder reactor. And we have named it PFBR. हमने इसका नाम रखा है प्रोटोटाइप FBR. Operator will be Bhavini, Bharatiya Vidyut Nigam Limited. Otherwise, rest of the 22 reactors that we have, These are uranium based, and the operator is NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation India Limited. तो ये हमारा functional, including Kudankulam and the rest of the places. But I'm not talking about those things. I just mentioned these operators are different, right? For rest of the 22 which is already producing energy, NPCIL is operator. That is the company who is basically responsible for production of energy in this 22 reactors. Whereas in Kalpakkam, India's first FBR is about to get started. That means it may be 15 days or 20 days or 1 month or 2 months it will start. Right? Because already everything is done. And then that will become the first, India's first PFBR, FBR. And in this reactor, India is going to use fuel में क्या use करेगा? तो plutonium for the first time. As of now, today, क्वेश्चन तो छपी गया होगा यूपीएससी का, तो उसके हिसाब से none of the reactor in India is using plutonium or thorium as a fuel. All 22 reactors of India are based on uranium only. And this PFBR is going to be the first reactor in India which will use plutonium as a fuel. And this PFBR is not only important for plutonium, rather it will be also important for thorium research, right? Because we can introduce thorium also in the later phase of this entire system. And for that you have to understand the India's 3-stage nuclear power program. In the class we have discussed it, that India's 3-stage power program, I'll just make a rough estimation of it, that Dr. Bhabha has given this 3-stage power program to India. And he has planned it for us that India should go in that way. Where the first stage says that India will use uranium-235 as fuel in PHWR, pressurized heavy water reactor. So this will be reactor, this will be fuel. That is why we have 18 PHWR in India. Out of 22 reactors that we have 18 PHWR only. Majority of them. Second thing, that it will be based on foreign help. So external help. Because we didn't have anything. Second stage, we have planned, Dr. Bhabha planned that we will use plutonium-239 as a fuel and will use in FBR, that we are going to do it now, right? And once we have started using plutonium-239, in the later phase we can use thorium-232 into it. And in the third stage, that will be the final stage, we'll use only thorium-232 in AHWR. And here we will become self-sufficient in terms of technology and fuel both. So from external help, foreign help to self-sufficiency, that is the march. That is the journey that we have to complete. और इसमें भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट जो पॉइंट्स हैं, that this was very wisely designed part, right? Because once you use uranium-235, then you use it with the mixture of uranium-238, right? It's not uranium-235 only. In nuclear reactor, the fuel rod, the fuel is composed of 5% uranium-235 and 95% uranium-238. You get my point? In nature, you get only 0.7% of it. In nature, it is only 0.7%, but you have to enrich it and increase the amount of uranium-235, which is the fuel part, to 5%. But rest of the thing, 238, that will be there, 95%. And like I told you, that this will undergo fission, it will give you energy. and the neutron coming out of it will strike onto it. The neutron coming out of uranium-235 will strike on uranium-238, and some part of uranium-238 will produce and convert into plutonium-239. So in this reaction, you are not getting only one thing. One thing you are getting is energy, another thing that you are getting is plutonium. That is why this this part was important. First part was important. So it's not only that you are getting energy. Energy is the immediate outcome. That's 22 reactor of India is basically giving you right now. But this 22 reactors in India is also giving some amount of plutonium to you. The amount will be less, but obviously will have to collect it in a long run. That is why India is having 18 PSWR. All have been established. All the reactors in India till now have been established with the help of foreign help. And then we have captured some amount of plutonium. Now we are going to use this plutonium into this second stage. And you know that fast breeder reactor, why it is called fast breeder reactor? Because it can breed fuel. It can give you more plutonium. So there will be one cycle going on, plutonium will be used and this will be producing more plutonium. How? Again we'll use the same thing, plutonium-239 mixed with uranium-238. This will give you energy and this will strike and it will give you more plutonium. So this is how it is called breeder reactor. Breed means producing. So energy producing more fuel. So plutonium is gone, but then uranium-238 will give you more plutonium. Other country, developed country have achieved the breeding ratio of 1:3. That means if you use 50 kg of plutonium, then 50 kg plutonium will be gone and 150 kg plutonium will come up. So breeding ratio will become 1:3. Although in India that we have FBR, the breeding ratio is not so good, it is around 1.1 to 1.4. That means if you use 100 kg of plutonium, you will get 110 kg, 120 kg plutonium back. That is why this FBR or FBR is become very important. Why it become important? Because plutonium is strategically very important. With plutonium you can make a smaller atomic bomb. And a smaller and lighter atomic bomb, that means you can integrate it into the missile system. And the missile will be able to lift it up, right? So plutonium is something that no country will help you. And India took a lot of time to develop it. And still we have already achieved everything, but not yet started. It is undergoing the initial tests. Because once you achieve it, then you will be in comparison with the developed country as well. But then we are not going to stop over here, right? In the second phase of the second stage, I'll write it here, second phase of the second stage, we will replace this plutonium with thorium, right? And this thorium will give you, let's say, this plutonium, no, we are not going to do that, sorry. We are going to replace this uranium with the thorium. I'll explain here. Plutonium-239 plus thorium-232. This will give you energy and this neutron will strike upon it and it will give you uranium-233, new compound. And now this uranium-233 will be used in ASWR. So you can see like first stage is giving fuel for the second stage and second stage is giving fuel for the third stage or integrated. And once we have achieved to this point, then we will be self-sufficient. And now you can understand why this FBR is very important for India. क्योंकि वो तो link है ना बीच का, to connect the thing to the thorium. So first stage, uranium is a fuel, but we will collect some amount of plutonium from the burnt fuel, from the used fuel. Once we have a stockpile of plutonium, we can use it into the second stage, that is Kalpakkam. In the first stage of the Kalpakkam, plutonium will be used and more plutonium will be produced. That will basically give you fuel for the future and plutonium for the strategic purpose to make the lighter atomic bomb. Already we have it. We have plutonium based bomb also. But then Obviously, we can revamp the entire arsenal. We can replace the uranium bomb with the plutonium bomb. Because in our defense classes, I told you that atomic bomb को airdrop करना आज के डेट में सबसे बेकार काम है. I mean, even Pakistan has got such radar system, such air defense system that the aircraft can be shot down. अभी हुआ अभिनंदन, he entered and they shut down, है ना? तो एयर ड्रॉप का तो मतलब ही नहीं बनता आज के डेट में. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट हिरोशिमा नागासाकी, यू कैन नॉट रिपीट इट. द मोमेंट यू एंटर इनटू द एनिमी टेरिटरी, एनिमी एयर स्पेस, दे विल शॉट इट डाउन. सो ओनली वन वे टू डिलीवर द एटॉमिक वेपन टू द टारगेट इज मिसाइल सिस्टम, है ना? और वो भी मिसाइल सिस्टम एक दो नहीं, इन ओवरवेलमिंग नंबर ऑफ मिसाइल सिस्टम. 50 छोड़ दिया, उसमें पता नहीं कितने न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड वाले हैं. क्योंकि अब मिसाइल को भी तो रोकने के लिए हमने सिस्टम बना लिया ना, एंटी बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल डिफेंस सिस्टम. एंड फॉर द मिसाइल सिस्टम, द मिसाइल, इंडियन मिसाइल कैन कैरी मैक्सिमम 1.5 टन वॉरहेड, और वो भी अग्नि 5 की बात मैं कर रहा हूं. सो अग्नि 5 कैन कैरी 1.5 टन ऑफ वॉरहेड. इफ यू have read this current affairs and magazine all, then recently India has developed something called Agni Prime, right? So Agni Prime can deliver something to around 1000 kilometer, and it can carry up to 1 ton of the warhead. It can deliver the 1 ton warhead in any part of the Pakistan. That means if we have to have the nuclear deterrence, then the nuclear bomb must be below 1 ton. And below 1 ton nuclear warhead, that can be achieved only with the help of plutonium. That is why plutonium become very important, and that is why nobody helped India into the plutonium research. कोई करेगा ही नहीं. कोई country क्यों करेगा? Because obviously with the plutonium you achieve two things. First, your dependency on the other country, external help for the fuel, that vanishes. Second, you become this, nuclear superpower, because you are able to make the lighter version of the warhead which can be integrated with the missile system, right? And for India there is one added benefit also, because this will also include thorium into the entire play, and then it will lead to the thorium research. So this entire scheme need to be understood. Homi Jagir Bhabha, he named it closed fuel cycle. He called it closed fuel cycle. Closed fuel cycle means fuel of one stage is being used second stage, and second stage fuel is being in third stage. So that is a closed fuel cycle, right? The spent fuel are not something that we are going to throw. Rather, the spent fuel is producing plutonium. The spent fuel is producing plutonium and uranium-233, and then these all will be used into the next stage. And once we have reached to the second and third stage, we are self-sufficient. Where are we now? Abhi hum log kahan hain? So we are here only, right at this threshold. We are entering into the second stage. But then it took a lot of time. And why it took a lot of time? That you might have studied in IR classes, that India is still under ban after Pokhran 1. Nuclear supplier group and everything has been formed. India is under extensive ban till 2008. 2008 से थोड़ा रिलैक्स हुआ है, बट अभी भी हम बैन में हैं. इंडिया के बारे में आप जानते हो ना, इंडिया इज सेल्फ प्रोक्लेम्ड न्यूक्लियर पावर स्टेट. अमेरिका डजंट रिकॉग्नाइज यू कि आप न्यूक्लियर पावर हो. हमने खुद को ये कह रखा है कि वी आर न्यूक्लियर पावर स्टेट. हम खुद कह लेते हैं, हमने खुद ही कह रखा है वी आर ब्लू वाटर नेवी. नो कंट्री रिकॉग्नाइज यू एज अ ब्लू वाटर नेवी, लेकिन हम कहते हैं कि हम तो हैं. हमारा उधर खड़ा है विक्रमादित्य, तो ब्लू वाटर नेवी है. खैर उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता, दैट इज ओनली स्ट्रैटेजिक थिंग. सो दैट इज वन थिंग. एंड अगेन आई विल टेल यू द फोकस शुड बी ऑन कल्पक्कम, PFBR. Focus should be on ITER and thorium research in India. Why thorium is better than the uranium and other fuel? And the best thing that we have more thorium than uranium. Plutonium तो होता ही नहीं है, that is a man-made element. And thorium is non-weaponized. If we talk about nuclear, then there is a term called nuclear triad. That is basically a defense aspect. That means your ability to strike nuclear weapon from air, land and water. So if you have ability to strike nuclear weapon, that means atom bomb, from all three places, then you have achieved nuclear triad. For air, we can do airdrop by fighter jets. If we talk about the recent one, Rafale is capable of it, है ना? उसके अलावा भी बहुत है, जगुआर है, सुखोई है, मिराज है, ये भी ड्रॉप कर सकते हैं. तेजस ड्रॉप नहीं कर सकता, तेजस का नया वर्जन बना रहे, वो कर सकता है. तेजस इज लाइट कॉम्बैट एयरक्राफ्ट. So air drop can be done only by the big aircraft like Sukhoi or multi-role medium aircraft like Rafale and Mirage, है ना? Land से कैसे करेंगे? Missile system. And the missile we have two, Agni and Prithvi. So these two missiles can carry the nuclear weapon. सरफेस टू सरफेस मिसाइल्स हैं, राइट. एंड वाटर वाज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट वन, क्योंकि वाटर में भी दो पार्ट है, फ्रॉम शिप एंड सेकेंड फ्रॉम सबमरीन. एंड फ्रॉम शिप वी हैव धनुष मिसाइल. And from ship we have K-15 and K-4 missiles. K-15 is already there, but K-4 is under trial. Develop हो गया है, under trial. That means this is our nuclear strike capabilities. We have fighter planes, many of them. We have two missile systems which can go land to land, and we have two missile systems that can be basically fired from water surface and under the water. So altogether India has got 4 missile systems which can carry nuclear warhead, right? Rest of the missile, if you talk about, apart from these 4, these all are attack missiles. They cannot carry nuclear warhead, right? जो भी डेवलप्ड है हमारे पास, अस्त्रा और ब्रह्मोस और बाकी कोई भी जो मिसाइल, आप आकाश पढ़ते हो, त्रिशूल पढ़ते हो, नाग भी नहीं कर सकता. नाग तो बहुत छोटा एंटी टैंक मिसाइल है, राइट? तो डिफेंस इज वन एरिया that we have to talk about, and this is your nuclear triad. India achieved it, and once India achieved nuclear triad, then India basically became one of the few countries who have achieved it. Submarine में you have to remember one more thing. This submarine part was the last part that we have achieved in 2019 only, right? And for that we have to develop one submarine that is called INS Arihant. So INS Arihant is having this K-15 missile, and with the INS Arihant we achieved nuclear triad. तो एयर ड्रॉप तो कर ही सकते थे हम. Second, Agni and Prithvi, we developed it. Third, Dhanush was basically nothing but the navalized version of Prithvi. So it was a naval version of Prithvi itself. So last technological challenge that we had, that was development of one such submarine which can launch ballistic missile from within the water. And the second challenge was to develop one ballistic missile that can come out from the depth of the water. So K-15 was one such missile. So K-15, Kalam 15 you can call it. that is called SLBM, Satellite Launch Ballistic Missile. And around 7 countries has this technology, India is one of them. And this SLBM is integrated with Arihant submarine. And we achieved it. जैसे इसको अचीव किया तो एक वर्ड हम लोग यूज करते थे, मिनिमम क्रेडिबल डेटरेंस. उसमें से मिनिमम वर्ड हटा दिया है ना. नाउ वी हैव क्रेडिबल डेटरेंस. मतलब वी हैव ऑलरेडी अचीव्ड व्हाट अमेरिका एंड चाइना एंड रशिया हैज अचीव्ड इट, राइट? Because they can also strike on the enemy from all four places: air, land, water surface or underwater. We have also achieved it. यह है कि हमारी strike range उतनी नहीं है. They can strike anywhere in the world, right? We have not gone to that extent because we have to take care of only 2 countries. One is China, another is Pakistan. उतना तो हमने कर लिया है ना. Because this K-15 is having range of 750 km and K-4 will have range of 3,500 km. And उसके बाद K-5 भी बनाएंगे जिसका रेंज होगा 6,000 km. So with that, India, Pakistan and China will be under cover of the nuclear strike. So we'll talk about one missile system that is called Agni Prime. Recent integration into the Agni series. So first of all, Agni Prime is having a range of 1,000 to 2,000 km. Range of 1,000 to 2,000 km. And this will have a technology called MIRV or multiple payload. Payload or warhead you can call it. That means the missile can carry more than one bomb inside. And this is demand of the time that you have to develop MIRV because all countries, I mean China if you say that they have developed a technology by which the missiles can be stopped, destroyed in the path only. I mean recently we have seen how Israel managed, yeah. So in Israel airspace, the video was there. उधर से मिसाइल वो छोड़ रहा है, इधर से वो छोड़ रहा है, रास्ते में the missiles are basically colliding with each other and stopping it. That is called ballistic missile defense system. India has developed it, China has developed it. पाकिस्तान के पास अभी नहीं है. बना ही लेगा चाइना के साथ मिलके, है ना. तो for that we have to develop something called MIRV. MIRV means that missile will rise like one, but it will split into many things. Right. So one missile and then multiple payload will come out. So this is the technology which can overwhelm the defense system because one missile is coming, another missile will strike. But imagine a situation, one missile is rising and after that these missiles are splitting into 6 warhead. Then the missile which is going to collide with that, it might collide with just one, but rest of the things will fall. So that is how we are basically developing technology. And that is why this Agni 1 and 2 will be replaced by it. So it is going to replace replacement of Agni 1 and 2. It's a long back story. Agni Prime will replace it both. The most important part of this Agni Prime is, it is made up of composite material. So it is lighter. So missile body is lighter, it means payload capacity will be higher. Lighter missiles, solid fuel missiles has its own, and obviously it is solid fuel. So if it is lighter and solid fuel, so it has advantage. Advantage number 1 क्या है? You can keep the missile in ready to launch position. And second advantage is that you can carry this missile onto the mobile launcher. So operational time to, prepare the missile and to launch it, that will be minimum. That will give you operational flexibility. You can move around the missiles in an entire war field so that the enemy will not be able to trace down where is the position of the missile. Because उनको भी पता है कि हमारे missiles कहाँ हैं. You get my point? And then they keep eye on to everything. अब मैं तो नदर्न पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया घूम के आया 10 days लद्दाख, एंड ऐसे गुस्सा नहीं आता है. इफ यू लुक एट द मैप कि उधर ले लिया उसने, चाइना ने इधर ले लिया पाकिस्तान ने, LAC एंड LOC आप जानते होगे, है ना. बट द मोमेंट यू गो देयर एंड देन यू सी, तब फिर लगता है कि बंदूक दे दो, वापस लेके आते हैं LAC OLOC सब. इट्स मतलब ऐसा है कि इट्स आवर लैंड, बट वो रह रहे हैं वहां पे. एंड देन देयर इज वन रिसेंटली इन November 2021 in Ladakh region, there was one establishment which has been inaugurated by Rajnath Singh, that is called Rajangla. There was one this Paramveer Chakra recipient, Major Shaitan Singh. So Major Shaitan Singh was basically one of the fighter, and he was protecting in 62 war the China, and he lost his life with 114 people, and this Rajangla was created around to honor them. And there it is entire Indian army area, and they will show you this is India, this is China, and there are two establishments where the flag meeting happened. So Chinese counterpart comes, Indian counterpart comes, and they both make meeting over there. And then he said that, sir, you are on the road, China is looking at you. हम लोग भी उनको देख रहे हैं पीछे से, वो भी देखते हैं कि अगर गाड़ी रुकी तो वो देख रहे हैं. And you cannot construct a single brick on your own land without asking to China. And China can, even China will not do that. So whenever you have to do a construction, the Indian official, the Chinese official, they meet, they exchange the words, they allow each other, and then we do it. तो प्रॉब्लम उसमें नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम यह है कि वो हमारी लैंड पे बैठा हुआ है. तो वो है, तो मैप में हम देखते हैं ना, हेड, इंडिया का हेड, वो इधर से भी कट गया है, उधर से भी कटा हुआ है. एंड ऑब्वियसली वी डू नॉट अलाउ टू डिपिक्ट इट, बट दैट इज द रियलिटी. तो माई लिटिल सन वॉज सो फ्यूरियस अबाउट लिसनिंग ऑल दिस स्टोरी. उसका था कि कब लेके वापस आएंगे, लैंड कब वापस मिलेगा. तो ये मामला है. खैर, so the missile systems and everything that need to be very secure, and the position of these missile systems should not be known to the enemy, but obviously enemy has all tracking devices like we have, and they know it, basically they know it. So what could give you operational flexibility? That missiles are placed on the mobile launchers, and the mobile launchers is moving inside the warfield. You are keep changing the position of it so that you can make the, all of a sudden a strike onto the enemy. and enemy will not be able to track it down, right? So solid fuel has this advantage. That is Agni Prime. There was something called Brahmos, and Brahmos, you know that, what is Brahmos, but I am not talking about Brahmos. We are talking about Brahmos NG, new generation. So Brahmos NG will be newer version, 40% less in weight, and 3 meter shorter in height. So it has all the capability of Brahmos itself. But then, why it has been done so? Because it is made up of composite materials. So whenever I say composite material, it's metal plus polymer. So make it lighter. Doesn't compromise with strength and all. Range will be equal to Brahmos 350 to 400 kilometer, and payload it can carry 200 to 300 kg. And obviously whenever you see something below 1 ton, 1 ton से नीचे का कोई मिसाइल सिस्टम पेलोड कैपेसिटी है, इसका मतलब है कि वो न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड लेके नहीं जा सकता. सिंपल है ना. There are many things that you cannot basically memorize. You need to understand it. और ऐसे भी अंडरस्टैंड क्या करना है. 4 मिसाइल सिस्टम है हमारे पास जो न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड लेके जा सकते हैं. अग्नि, पृथ्वी, धनुष और K series, K15, K4 and K5. K15 is there. K5 is under development and K4 is under trial. So apart from these 4 missiles, no missile of India can carry this nuclear warhead. That you need to understand. And any missile which is able to carry less than 2 to 300, I mean less than 1 ton, then it is not carrying nuclear warhead. And versions क्या होंगे इसके? तो we are basically doing a better thing on to that. So versions, all 4. That means air, land, water and submarine. And Brahmos was in news for one more reason, that you know that Brahmos is made by a company called Brahmos Aerospace Limited, and it is Indo-Russian joint venture. And this joint venture has just one thing. And what was that? It was like develop the missile system, the fastest cruise missile system of the world, equip the Indian Army, Russian Army, armed forces, and sell this missile into the international market. तो 3 इनके objectives थे. First, to develop world's best cruise missiles. That we have done it, we are doing it. Brahmos is one of the best. And if we develop Brahmos 2, it will be fastest cruise missile in the world, 7 Mach speed. Second, equip the respective countries, I mean India and Russia, with the cruise missiles that we are doing it. हम लोगों ने भी deploy कर रखा है. And third, sell it to the international market, है ना? And then Philippines became the first country to strike a deal with the Brahmos Aerospace Limited to get the missile system for the naval forces. So that was a small news. But news में ये थोड़ी ना आएगा कि कौन सा country ने लिया. They won't ask. I mean, this will be SSC kind of question. कि which country has contract with the Brahmos Aerospace Limited to have a missile system for the naval forces? Philippines. They won't ask it. Rather, the entire Brahmos segment is important. You get my point? Rather, the entire cruise missile segment is important. That is why I mean, many of you have done this science and tech classes. और बहुत लोग तो चले भी गए, उनको लग गया कि भाई सब तो करीब पढ़ भी चुके हैं. ठीक है, that is good. Because whatever I am discussing, I took the classes in the, I think December, January, February. And December, January, February, when I took the classes, then entire current affair is already there. It's science and tech is always current centric. And current affair is indication. And then you go back and take everything. So even this Philippines, I think the Philippines वाला भी बताया ही था आप लोग को. The Philippines became the first country to strike a deal with Brahmos Aerospace Limited, and he will get the Brahmos missile for the naval forces. And it has got many implications, not just this. Because Chinese aggression को भी वो counter कर रहा है. If Philippines is getting missile from India and Russia, I mean India UP से, तो China को वो बात अच्छी नहीं लगी. And obviously, if there are many countries in the Southeast Asian region and this Asia Pacific region will get this kind of missiles from India, it is basically good for India and regional politics, geopolitics. Okay. There is one more thing that we'll discuss. Now India is focusing on one more thing, that is called air defense system. There was a time when Navy used to be the biggest force, and the country who is having greater naval power that would have, rule the world. That Britain has done it. But nowadays, Navy is there, it's still there, but Air Force is the most important aspect. If the air strike capability is there, then nobody, आप देखते हो ना कहीं भी कुछ भी होता है तो सबसे ज्यादा चर्चा किस बात की होती है? एयरक्राफ्ट और मिसाइल्स की, है ना? अभी Russia Ukraine war is going on, and whenever you open the news, this television channels, then they will all talk about the aircrafts and the missile system they are using it. They will show you that only, that they are firing series of missiles and everything, right? So missile strike is something that is very decisive, and to counter the missile or air strike, we have to develop the air defense system. And India has got multi-layer air defense system. जैसे एक है जिसको कहते हैं long range interception. Long range interception. And for that we have BMD. So we have developed BMD. Second is called intermediate range interception. For that we have S-400, and you know that we have got it from Russia. Then the third one is short range interception. इसमें बहुत सारे हैं, and there we have three things: आकाश, missile, Barak 8, and there is one missile system we got it from Israel, is Spider. That is a spilling. And fourth one is very short range. Interception. There we have Bofors and manpads. There are many more into it, but then these are the main thing that we should go for. So BMD we have developed it. Nobody has helped in BMD. BMD is once a system which can trace any missile coming even from 5,000 kilometers. So any missile which is coming from 5,000 kilometer distance and targeting any Indian city, then this BMD can track out. It can launch series of interceptor missiles, and then it can stop the missile in the air itself. The accuracy of this system is 99.7%, 99.7% as claimed by DRDO. And DRDO has said that we have developed it and we are in the process of deploying it. Delhi and Mumbai will be first two cities to get this cover, and after that all metros of India will be covered by this. But then this statement was made in around 2014 something. उसके बाद से कुछ खबर नहीं. Nothing is coming. Because obviously you need to understand that DRDO or country will not reveal each and everything to you. Because it's a defense application. 2007 में हमने इसका last experiment किया. And 2015-14 तक आते आते we declared it that India will now deploy on metro cities. Whether it is deployed or not, we don't know. And we don't need to know basically. Let it be in a confusion state. Because that also gives you edge. That country, Pakistan or China, is not able to find out that whether we have deployed on a city or not. So that is another benefit. Before striking onto a particular Indian territory, they will have to find out whether this BMD shield is there or not. If it is there, then we will going to neutralize the attack. And according to our nuclear doctrine, we have said it, that we won't make first strike. But once the strike has been made by the nuclear weapon, then we will retaliate with the full force. For that particular thing, the BMD system is very important. Because BMD system can track missile which is coming from 5,000 kilometers, that means China's any part of it. और BMD system normal missile attack के लिए भी काम करेगा, लेकिन main जो उसका motto क्या था? That if we are under nuclear attack, then this BMD will be there to save us. Because once you declare that no first use policy, that means you have to have a shield to stop the first attack so that you can save yourself from the first attack. मतलब एक अटैक हो ही गया तो क्या हो गया? अगर एक अटैक न्यूक्लियर वेपन का हो गया तो आप समझते हो? Will we have the willpower to go for the retaliatory action? जापान 2 अटैक में सरेंडर कर दिया था, हिरोशिमा और नागासाकी खत्म. तो दैट इज वाई. इसलिए आप देखो तो रशिया यूक्रेन को तो फंसा दिया इन लोगों ने ना मिलके. 2000 उसके पास एटॉमिक बॉम्ब थे. जब दे डिसइंटीग्रेटेड, दे गॉट 2000 एटॉमिक वेपन्स. एंड बुडापेस्ट कन्वेंशन किया इन्होंने, ये अमेरिका, नाटो, उसने कहा कि यू डिस्ट्रॉय योर वेपन एंड आई विल प्रोटेक्ट यू. आज देख लो. सो वी लर्न वन नेशन, अपने भरोसे रहना चाहिए. अपना न्यूक्लियर वेपन है, अपने पास है. Anyway, so BMD S400, the topic exhausted in the sense that it has been asked in the prelims and the mains both. So last year mains में पूछ दिया, and prelims में it was asked that third compared with third. Yeah. So third and S400, that was a 2 air defense system that India was contemplating to buy one of them. Right. And then UPSC prelims asked what is the full form of third. That means if anybody is reading newspaper would get that, because newspaper में तो छपेगा ही ना. जैसे when India was trying to buy aircraft, Rafale, तो competitor कौन था? Typhoon of UK. So Typhoon and Rafale both were compared, and India went for the Rafale. Typhoon छोड़ दिया. So if you read newspaper carefully and constantly, then the lot of thing is taken care of automatically, right? So that is why in UPSC, it first thing that it pays that you should be very clear with the fundamentals. Once the fundamental is clear in the classroom, in the textbook, then you go to the newspaper, and then you will start grasping the thing which is required for this examination, right? So first thing that if you are not having the fundamental knowledge of something, newspaper and topic will become like a book. मतलब उसको बुक की तरह पढ़ना पड़ेगा, इतना दिमाग लगेगा, एक आर्टिकल पढ़ने में 20-25 मिनट लग जाएंगे आपको. But once you are grasping the entire thing, it will be easy. One article of 1,500 words, it will take 5-6 minutes to read it, because lots of thing in this article is already you have studied. Whenever India will talk about the BMD, there will be lot of things that will be repeated. Articles में या newspaper में there is a lot of things that will get repeated. It won't be giving any new information out of it. New information will be only 2-3 lines, right? Akash, we have developed it under IGMDP. Barak is Indo-Israel development, and a spider we got it from Israel. वो फोर्स आपको पता ही है, स्वीडन का है. मैन पैड्स तो हम खुद भी बना लेते हैं, अमेरिका से भी लिया. मैन पैड्स आर मैन पोर्टेबल, कंधे से लॉन्च जो करते हैं ना, एक बैरल रॉकेट लॉन्चर्स, दैट इज कॉल्ड मैन पोर्टेबल एयर डिफेंस, मैन पैड. Two things you have to cover up in defense more. And two things that you have to cover up is aircraft carrier and we have INS Vikramaditya. That we got it from Russia, and we are about to have INS Vikrant. Vikrant is under sea trial in a final phase, and soon we'll have it. And we'll have 2 aircraft carrier. अभी एक ही है हमारे पास. The only functional aircraft carrier that we have is INS Vikramaditya. But then INS Vikrant is something that India has made it on its own. Yeah, indigenous. And we became very few country to make it. So only 5th country, only 5 country can make this aircraft carrier. India is one of them with the development of Vikrant. And second aspect that you have to understand is submarine. In submarine, 2 things are important. One is Project 75, which is developing Kalvari class submarine. With the help of France. तो फ्रांस का टेक्नोलॉजी है, डेवलप हम कर रहे हैं, बना हम अपने घर में रहे. But the technology has been transferred from France. Another is Arihant class submarine. This is India made, and it is nuclear power ballistic missile submarine. So remember it. It is very important to know that Kalvari Arihant class submarine is propelled by nuclear energy, whereas Kalvari class submarine, that is propelled by diesel and battery. That is called electric diesel submarine. अब तो प्रोजेक्ट 75 अल्फा भी शुरू हो जाएगा. सो प्रोजेक्ट 75 विल गिव यू 6 सबमरीन. आउट ऑफ 6 मुझे लगता है 4 तो ऑलरेडी बना चुके हम, आईएनएस कलवरी, कंधेरी, करंज और आईएनएस वेला, एंड उसके अलावा 2 और है, वो भी हम प्लान कर चुके हैं. अरिहंत में भी वी आर बेसिकली प्लान 4 एंड इट मे गो अप टू 6. सो आईएनएस अरिहंत इज देयर, आईएनएस अरिघट इज देयर, और 2 और हमने कोड नेम रखा हुआ है S4 करके, एंड इट माइट गो अप टू 6. एंड बिकॉज नाउ दिस प्रोजेक्ट 75 is almost going to get complete in next 5 years, so we have already planned something called project 75 alpha या project 75A. That means 6 more will be made. So our our submarine power will be there, because the older submarine that we have, that is basically almost dead. 10th submarine we had it from Russia, that is called Sindhu Ghosh class submarine, that is already dead. None of them are basically functional for fight. It's there with us, but if there is a fight, then we won't be able to do anything with that aging submarine, so we have to replace it. Yes.
Sir, how much pound will be required to protect it? How many submarines, how many aircraft will be required?
No, that you cannot basically tell that how many requirement will be there, but yes, we have a fair knowledge of how many submarines we have. And if we talk about submarine, then we have 4 submarine from Germany, that is called Shishumar class, and we have 9 submarine. We had 10 but एक खत्म हो गया, from Russia, that is called Sindhu Ghosh class submarine. So total कितने हो गए वही 13 submarine. Scorpion is Kalvari only, right? In France it is called Scorpion. So I'm not talking about it. ये तो बात की बात है ना. हमारे पास तो टोटल 14 सबमरीन थे. You get my point? And one we got it from Russia on rent, लीज पे लिया था. That is called INS Chakra. तो 14, 1, 15. So we had only 15 submarine. Out of 15 submarine, none of the submarine was made by India. And this 4 submarine of the Germany, that is only submarine that you have which can basically strike in a war condition. Otherwise this 10 submarine, 9 submarine, these all are aging submarine, older technology, it cannot do anything. इसमें से एक डूब भी गया, अपने आप डूब गया. सिंधु रक्षक submarine 5 years back in Mumbai dockyard, it just sinked because there was an explosion in a battery chamber due to the deposition of hydrogen gas, and then it gone. And then we realized that if this can go down, then rest 9 of such submarine are similar design. The 9 can also go down. You get my point? We cannot rely on this 9. So we have only 4, and 4 is not advanced one. Germany से हमने बहुत साल पहले खरीदा था. That is why India went for the submarine missions like Project 75 and Arihant, because this is going to give you 12 submarine, 6 plus 6, and this is going to give you 4 to 6. तो 12 and minimum 4 मान लेते कितने हो जाएंगे? 16. And obviously 16 ठीक है ना, 14 तो था ही हमारे पास पहले, अब 16 होगा. And obviously India has got such big, money power, that we are not going to stop any of this. But the thing is that मामला वही है ना कि we have only 4 hours, and 4 hours में कितना? Otherwise science and technology is one such thing which is basically always current oriented. So if any of you are not part of our classroom coverage, तो आपके कोई friend होंगे एनी टॉपिक, जो भी टॉपिक मैंने बताया उसको डिटेल में पढ़ाया है. It's already done in detail and it is in so much detail that if you read the notes only which is written into the class, you will grasp it. So you get hold of that notes, request somebody, although nobody will give you at this crucial time, है ना? But if somebody is there, then you grasp, get the notes and you just flip through. The topic I have mentioned, you just need to flip through. ये topic important था, ये topic important था, ये topic important था. You will get it. जैसे GM crop. I just mentioned about GM crop in a very small manner. Non-transgenic GM crop, but you imagine the GM crop is how important topic. And why? Chances are high they will ask non-transgenic GM crop. But then the thing is that this non-transgenic GM crop came into the news. And it came into the news just in month of October 2021. Now October 2021 it came in the news. And then in March 2022, GSE approved it, technology. Then what is the guarantee that they will ask this year only? There is no guarantee. They can ask this thing into 2023 or 2024. But one thing is there. There will be one question coming from non-transgenic GM crop because AIRI and other institutes are involved in that, either into the main or prelims examination. But in which year it will come, it is not sure. You get my point? That is why for a teacher it is easy because teacher ने तो पढ़ा दिया. अब वो 22 में आए, 23 में आए, 24 में आएगा. But for aspirant it is very difficult because aspirant is basically teacher is playing in a decade format. हमारे लिए decade होता है कि एक बार blue LED पढ़ा दिया ना, आ गया, चलो भाई. 5 साल बाद आया ठीक है, लेकिन पढ़ाया तो आया था. हमने पढ़ाना छोड़ दिया था. I'm honestly telling you that blue LED we stopped discussing it because Nobel Prize मिला तब पढ़ा दिया. अब क्या है? लेकिन UPSC भी he was playing at another level. Nobel Prize was in 2014 and they asked in 2021. अब लो. And during that time we basically created 2-page or 3-page notes onto the blue LED and how it will be important and change the entire display dynamics and the other thing. Nobody, none of the examination have asked it. So you never know it. But then that is how the UPSC is. You have to go with that. Anyway, we'll cover up few more topic. So don't get into the number कितना चाहिए, वो कितने नंबर में एयरक्राफ्ट होने चाहिए, वो सब ऐसे सुनने में अच्छा लगता है, पर एग्जाम के लिए इट्स नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट. Anyway. Supercomputer, again important. Why it is important? Because already we are under NSM, National Supercomputer Mission. So first of all, try to learn about NSM. We are in the first phase of the NSM. And first phase of the NSM says that we will assemble supercomputers so that we can improve the India's position in supercomputing. हम लोग उसमें हम slip down हो गए. Second phase में we will start producing some part of it in India. And third phase we are going to be independent into it. That means architecture, spares and assembly. All things will be done in India. But right now we are in the first phase. That means we get the cores and processor from the outside and we assemble it in India. Right? And NSM is being run by CDAC plus IISc, Bangalore. They both are jointly leading it. And the most powerful computer that we have made it is Param Siddhi. अभी देखा होगा आपने परम गंगा. Recently it came into the news. And there is a lots of Param series computer came in. Param Shivaya, Param Brahma, Param Siddhi, Param Ganga, Param Sanganak, right? So these all Param which is coming right now, these are part of the NSM. And there are 17 places in the entire India where it will be placed. Most of the places are CDAC or IITs or NITs, है ना, वहाँ लगा रहे हैं. And then we connect all 17 places with a grid computing. And this grid computing access will be available to all technological institute into the entire India. 17 places में ही तो सारे NIT, IITs नहीं है ना. So for that we have a grid system. Like Delhi IIT doesn't have any supercomputer, but then Delhi IIT will be connected to the grid. And with the help of grid, it can get help of any computer in the grid. करना क्या है supercomputer से? You have to do data crunching only. So data crunching can be done from the distant location if you are connected to the grid. Grid is nothing but the internet of the supercomputer, you can say like that. Right. So that is one thing. Second thing, in the supercomputer, you have to take care of top 500 list. एक नवंबर में आता है, दूसरा जून में आता है, तो नवंबर वाला इंपॉर्टेंट. लास्ट केम इन नवंबर 2021. जून वाला तो इंपॉर्टेंट है नहीं हमारे लिए, because by that time prelims will be there. And top 500 list means world's top 500 supercomputers have been categorized. The number 1 is Fugaku of Japan. And this is at 442 petaflops. Petaflops. Peta means 10 to the power 15. So 10 to the power 15 operations per second it can do. In a very easy term, you can say like 10 to the power 15 calculation in 1 second it can do. It's the fastest one, right? इंडिया का जो फास्टेस्ट है वो है लगभग 5 पेटाफ्लॉप पे. दिस परम सिद्धि इज एट अराउंड 5 पेटाफ्लॉप एंड दिस इज 442 पेटाफ्लॉप. दैट मीन्स you can imagine how many. That is the number 1. Number 2 is Summit, USA. It is around 148 petaflops. So but that is not much important. They can ask, they might not ask. But then one thing you need to understand, that according to top 500 list, the country ranking, that means out of 500 top supercomputer in the world, China has got maximum supercomputer, 173. Number 1 is with Japan, it's all fine. But out of top 500 supercomputer, the China's share is 173, right? And China is leading with that. And China has left behind USA, that used to be leader. USA का है 149. Number नहीं important है, but जानना important है. Third is Japan. It's around 32 supercomputer. And India is at 11th position. 11th position is India with 3 supercomputers. So it's not only 3, rather I am saying that 3 supercomputer in top 500, right? And excluding this one, I mean after November 2021, the computer which came in, it has not been enlisted in top 500 because next top 500 will come in June. So every year twice it comes, it is published, once in June, another is in November. So June वाला तो आया नहीं है, तो according to numbers, details, that is the thing. And there was a time that India used to have around 8 to 10 supercomputer in top 500. 8 to 10. And we had our position in top 10 also. India had supercomputer in top 10 slots. Top 50 में हम थे, top 20 में रहते थे. अभी इंडिया का जो सबसे फास्टेस्ट है वो 102 नंबर पे है, 102. That means our fastest is not even under top 10, top 100. And there was a lot of slip into that. Our supercomputing power was better than China 10 years back, but we lost it. And one thing we need to understand, supercomputers are very important, strategically important, and for research and development it is important. Strategically, because atom bombs designing, missiles designing, path calculation, aerospace engineering, your defense technology, quantum mechanics, nanotechnology, these all are based on these things. And moreover, supercomputer required to promote fundamental research in the country. अब आपको लग रहा है ना कि आप देखो फिजिक्स का उठा के देख लो नोबेल प्राइज, सारे नोबेल प्राइज किस पे मिल रहा है? क्वांटम फिजिक्स पे। नॉर्मल फिजिक्स पे कुछ मिलेगा? वी हैव ऑलरेडी एक्सप्लोर्ड ऑल द नॉर्मल फिजिक्स, उसमें कुछ है ही नहीं अब। And if you have to work on a quantum physics, you have to have access to the supercomputer. And the new things which will come up, that will be based on such thing only. So if you do not have a supercomputer, you do not have required number of supercomputer in your research facilities, then what will happen? Your fundamental research will not up to mark. We won't have patent, we won't have innovation, and will slip down. उधर देखो चाइना को, 20 years back China had hardly any supercomputer in top 500, hardly any supercomputer in top 500. Now the China is having 173 supercomputer in top 500. You can imagine. So it is indicating that how China is, promoting fundamental research into its own country. So India started NSM, and NSM has this objective to develop the best of the supercomputer for the research and development function, and we are doing it. Anna? Another one which is now getting prominence is quantum computer. तो उसको भी पढ़ लेना आप, मैं थोड़ा बहुत बता देता हूं. And why this quantum computer came into the news? इसलिए क्योंकि अभी 2021 में, अगस्त 2021, India launched QSIM toolkit. QSIM toolkit. That is called Quantum Simulator Toolkit. Quantum Computing Simulator. Quantum Computing Simulator Toolkit. Developed by IISc, IIT Roorkee and CDAC. So quantum computing means computer, a different type of computer that will use quantum mechanical phenomenon for calculation. It will be quite different from supercomputer, but it will be having a very huge data crunching capability. If you remember, then few years back, 2018 I think, in 2018, Google claimed that it has achieved quantum supremacy. And Google said that with the help of a quantum computer acquired by the Google, the quantum computer solved a data, crunched a data, analyzed the data in 200 seconds. And that data, if we give it to the Summit, the second fastest supercomputer, around that time it was the fastest one, जो अभी सेकेंड नंबर पे उस समय फास्टेस्ट था, अगर उसको दे दिया जाए तो वो कितना टाइम लेगा? 10,000 years. So Summit will crunch that data in 10,000 years, and a quantum computer acquired by the Google has done it in 200 seconds. That is little more than 3 minutes. मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ, Google कह रहा था वो. I don't believe Google on that claim, but अब छप गया तो बताना पड़ता है. And then it was the kind of news that quantum supremacy have been achieved. That means now it is established that quantum computer will have much more ability than supercomputer, and it is going to benefit two area. क्वांटम कंप्यूटर, मशीन लर्निंग एंड आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, है ना. तो ML and AI, this both are very important topic, but if you go and read something into it, you won't find anything. मिलता नहीं है पढ़ने के लिए कुछ, कारण है कि कुछ है ही नहीं. Your mobile phone is having good, I mean above average level of ML and AI both, है कि नहीं. तो क्या मिलेगा? ओनली मिलेगा कि AI, which kind of AI will be there, narrow AI, general AI, super AI, and then the AI and its impact onto the employment and the other thing. In terms of technology, you won't have anything. And AI is not a new thing. Washing machine जब से बना ना, automatic washing machine, तब से AI का काम शुरू हो गया. Home appliances से AI शुरू हो गया. That time it was called narrow AI. Now at this time we are talking about what? General AI, जो आपकी driverless car है. And then there is a hypothetical condition that is called super AI. That means better than the human being, but then it is hypothetical aspect of it. Because AI and ML has, it is basically at one particular roadblock. It is not moving beyond a point. It's a data calculation only. A driverless car क्या कर रहा है? With the help of sensor, it is basically picking the data from the road and then making the decision that how it has to go. And with extensive research, the companies has already placed so much of information that can occur onto the road. एक रोड पे होने वाले जितने पॉसिबल इंफॉर्मेशन हो सकते हैं, इंसिडेंट्स हो सकते हैं, दे हैव ऑल बीन फीड इनटू दैट. लेकिन फिर भी देयर वुड बी समथिंग दैट विल कम अप न्यू. अभी महिंद्रा की कार आई XUV 700, देखा है ना. इट हैज गॉट लॉट मेनी फीचर. आप उसमें आप स्टीयरिंग छोड़ के कार चलाओ. दैट हैज गॉट एडेप्टिव cruise control. And adaptive cruise control, that means you at the, I mean you are going on an expressway पे 100 किलोमीटर चलाना है आपको, तो 100 किलोमीटर पे आप एक adaptive cruise control ऑन कर दो and you sit back, आप हैंड भी हटा दो, तो it will follow the lane. If the road is moving, the steering will move and it will keep on the lane itself. If there is a car in front of you which slowed down, automatically your car will also slow down. वो 100 पे चल रहा था 70 60 पे आ जाएगा, and when the car is gone, it will again go back to the 100. But then it is not driverless. उस चक्कर में एक्सीडेंट भी हो जाएगा. It is just adaptive cruise control. उसी का हायर वर्जन क्या बना दिया? Driverless. But then in that particular way, you have to crunch a lot of data in a very short span of time. And that is why they are saying that quantum computer can do it. That it can crunch the data in a very short span of time. हम अपने ब्रेन में जितना डेटा क्रंच करते हैं, सुपर कंप्यूटर से भी तेज है दिमाग, पता है ना. लोगों को बिलीव नहीं होता क्योंकि चाचा चौधरी का ही सुपर कंप्यूटर से तेज है, जो कॉमिक कैरेक्टर है. Because we calculate the data is a very high speed. Selective data calculation करते हैं, है ना. Computer will not have ability to do selective data calculation. It will crunch all the data which is present in front of it, right? So, I mean, हम लोग अगर रोड पे जा रहे हैं तो I'm not bothered about who is basically walking onto the pavement. I'm just bothered about who is there in front of me, in the both side of me. But if AI is working, it will calculate all the data, right? That is why sometimes we say that it is more secure, sometimes we say it is less secure. That is very, subjective thing. Quantum computing, this QSIM toolkit, and then there is one more thing. In budget of 2021, 800 crore rupees was given to a project that is called NMQTA. NMQTA, National Mission on Quantum Technology and Application. 2020-21, National Mission on Quantum Technology and Application. And government has funded 8,000 crores for this. And supercomputing development is part of it. It's a part of it. So have we developed supercomputer? Not yet. हमने तो उसके बाद क्या लेके आए हम? QSIM toolkit. This toolkit is basically can run onto a computer, but it can simulate the quantum computing phenomenon. So it is for research and training purpose. Any researcher who is basically trying to work on a quantum computing system will install this QSIM toolkit on a very powerful computer, and then this toolkit can mimic. नाम ही है क्या? Simulator. That means it can mimic, it can just imitate the functioning of the quantum computer so that you can learn something on it. It's like that you have to drive a car, actual car, and you are training yourself on a toy. तो toy है तो भी थोड़ा कार की तरह फील तो दे ही देता है. That is kind of simulation. Before that, in 2017, government has already invited a consultation on India level in Prayagraj, Harishchandra Research Institute, to find the possibility of development of quantum computer in India. So in quantum computing in India, there is nothing at the level of development. It is all at the level of policy, some basic toolkit and consultation. So 3 step hai. 2017-18 there was one consultation in Prayagraj. 2020-21 8,000 crore for NMQTA, and August 2021 we came up with the QSIM toolkit. That's it. We have not acquired any quantum computer yet. We have not developed any quantum computer yet. है ना? तो ये Indian context में था. In world context, 2011 was a time when Canadian company D-Wave system developed first quantum computer of the world, which is commercially available, and that is called D-Wave. The quantum computer is also known as D-Wave. So D-Wave was the first quantum computer made by Canadian company D-Wave system. D-Wave system. And this quantum computer was bought by defense contractors like Lockheed Martin in America, Google, and then they are extensively, NASA ने खरीदा quantum computer इससे. तो 3 quantum computer बिके थे उस साल. NASA, Google and Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin is defense contractor. That means quantum computer may have application in defense sector. Google and NASA, and they are using it. Now Google is making its own quantum computer. IBM and Microsoft has given the quantum computer into its priority list, and in India is also aspiring to get that. बाकी इसके बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट हैं बहुत सारे. So that is current development. But if you go to the basics of it, so how this quantum computer is different from other computer. So we can divide into 2 parts: quantum computer, another we can call it digital computer, right? So your supercomputer or the computer that you have, your mobile phone, is all digital computer. In digital computer, it's electric current, that is flow of electron, right? And flow of electrons, that means transistor, and through transistor if electron flows तो हम कह देते हैं 1. Electron doesn't flow, then we call it 0, and that is binary code, bits, we call it bits, है ना? But in quantum computer it's not electron flow, it is a spin of electron. Spin of electrons, because we all know that electron can spin in a clockwise and anti-clockwise manner. साइंस में पढ़ा होगा आपने स्पिन क्वांटम नंबर, 12th क्लास एटॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर, राइट? सो प्रिंसिपल azimuthal spin quantum number. So electrons are in paired condition and they can move clockwise, anti-clockwise. So let's take it 1 and 0. Same binary code यहाँ बना सकते हैं. Electron is flowing, it is 1, not flowing 0. So why can't we make it electron in clockwise manner? It is 1, not anti-clockwise manner, it is 0. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम है कि इलेक्ट्रॉन होता है हमेशा पेयर कंडीशन में. तो इलेक्ट्रॉन विल बी लाइक दिस एंड दिस. सो दिस विल बी व्हाट? 1 0. इलेक्ट्रॉन विल बी इन ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन, दिस एंड दिस. इट विल बी 0 1. इलेक्ट्रॉन कैन बी मेड टू बी इन अ सेम डायरेक्शन, 0 0 and there 1 1. These are called qubits. There we have 2 bits, 0 and 1, binary code. there we have qubits, quantum bits, 4 types. It's not like 2, it's unit. These are 4 units. You cannot differentiate 1 and 0 separately. You cannot use the term binary over there. 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. These are the 4 independent units. These are called qubits. And at the place of transistor, we are going to use quantum dots and loops to achieve these qubits. So that is a basic difference in the conceptual aspect of the quantum and digital computer. Digital computer, digits, that means 0 and 1, flow of electron, transistor, microprocessor. Entire thing is different in quantum computer. It uses electron, but it not a flow of electron, rather a spin of electron. And then at the place of transistor, it will use quantum dots and loops. And at the place of bits, you will get qubits, right? And in India, we are just 5-year-old in quantum technology. So in India, only last 5 years was something active into the quantum computer development. And that is only at paper level. There is no construction. It is only at paper level, and the latest thing that came up with QSIM simulator. Whereas in the entire world, if you see that it is almost 2 decades that they have been working on quantum computing. So 2 decades, 20 years, and that is how they have got some quantum computers. But the total potential of quantum computer is still not unleashed. We'll get to know, right? So again, I'll tell you that there is a lot of thing about quantum computing. I think 2.5 pages I have discussed, 3 pages maybe. So anybody who has attended the class, you go and revise it. And there is very few things which came into the newspaper and magazine since we have covered the last classes, right? And anybody who has not attended it, then you get befriended with somebody who has attended it and get copy of the notes. Time is very less, obviously. You cannot go and do much about it. उससे बढ़िया होता है कि जो हमें आता है, whatever you know, you revise it so that it is there. And at the end of the day, you have to be just beyond the cut-off mark. Prelims is very tricky thing. And the biggest failure we see in the prelims only. I mean, personally, I interact with a lot of students, and many students who have basically reached to the interview, they also struggle into the prelims many a time. In prelims, there are 2 strategies. One is that what you know and what is your coverage. And second is how do you manage the things at the prelims day. तो prelims में 2 चीजें back of the mind चलनी चाहिए. एक तो content and second the calculation. That first 1 hour, how many questions I have attempted, how many questions I have left for the second review. Next 1 hour, how many questions I have attempted, how many questions I have left for the second review. And then at the end, do you get time for the second review or not? है ना? और वो कैलकुलेशन चलना चाहिए. जैसे है ना, प्लेयर खेलता है तो उसको पता रहता है रन रेट कितना रखना है. You get used to of it. So कट ऑफ से ऊपर जाना है. कट ऑफ से ऊपर जाने का मतलब 55 क्वेश्चन सही हो जाए बहुत है, मोर देन एनफ. लेकिन ऐसा तो कभी होगा नहीं कि 55 सही हो जाएगा, माइनस नहीं होगा. तो माइनस भी होगा उसमें. तो टू गेट 55 करेक्ट, यू हैव टू अटेम्प्ट समवेयर अराउंड 70-75 तक अटेम्प्ट करना पड़ेगा. 70 to 80 के बीच में वो आपका कंफर्ट लेवल है, आप देख लो. एंड कीप इन द माइंड 20 क्वेश्चन तो ऐसे भी छोड़ना है. यू गेट माय पॉइंट? सो इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट वी हैव टू अटेम्प्ट ऑल. आप एग्जामिनेशन में इस बात को दिमाग में रख के जाओ, 80 बनाना है, 20 छोड़ना है. वहां पे फिर देख लेना, अगर बहुत आसान क्वेश्चन है तो 80 बनाएंगे. थोड़ा टफ अप हुआ तो हम ऐसा भी कैलकुलेट कर लेंगे कि 75 बनाना है, 25 छोड़ना है. समटाइम लीविंग क्वेश्चन कैन गेट यू इनटू द लिस्ट. अटेम्प्टिंग मोर क्वेश्चन कैन यू एलिमिनेट यू फ्रॉम द. तो दैट कैलकुलेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड दैट इज वेयर द टेस्ट सीरीज बिकम इंपॉर्टेंट. मेनी पीपल इन दिल्ली दे आर बेसिकली आस्क अबाउट टेस्ट सीरीज से क्वेश्चन नहीं आया. टेस्ट सीरीज से क्वेश्चन कैसे आ जाएगा? यूपीएससी का कुछ है कि नहीं, इज्जत वजत है उसकी कि नहीं है कि टेस्ट सीरीज से क्वेश्चन वहां आ जाएगा? whole purpose of test series is self assessment and the back of the mind calculation जो चलता है ना, उसकी practice होते रहे. That how many question I am attempting and how many question I am leaving. That practice is needed, you know, and that is really tough thing. अगर आप टेस्ट सीरीज कभी लगा के इसको देखना तो इट्स अ वेरी टफ थिंग टू मैनेज इट. कि आप क्वेश्चन पूरा फोकस कंटेंट पे है एंड बैक ऑफ द माइंड यू आर आल्सो हैविंग कैलकुलेशन कि इतना तो हम बना चुके, इतना और बनाना है. द रन रेट काइंड ऑफ थिंग. सो फॉर दैट टेस्ट सीरीज बिकम हैंडी. एंड फॉर टेस्ट सीरीज यू डोंट नीड टू डू मच मतलब ज्यादा करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ऑल्दो इन आवर दिल्ली इंस्टीट्यूट वी आल्सो रन टेस्ट सीरीज, बट आई ऑलवेज सजेस्ट स्टूडेंट टेस्ट सीरीज जरूर करना चाहिए. और उसको करने के लिए किसी की टेस्ट सीरीज खरीदने की जरूरत ज्यादा नहीं है. फोटोकॉपी शॉप पे जाओ, यू विल गेट इन 25 रुपीज, है ना. प्रैक्टिस ही तो करनी है ना, तो प्रैक्टिस करने में क्या टेंशन है. वाई टू स्पेंड थाउजेंड्स. हाँ, एक जगह कहीं टेस्ट सीरीज करो. आई हैव सीन पीपल गेटिंग टेस्ट सीरीज फ्रॉम दिस प्लेस एंड दिस प्लेस एंड दिस प्लेस. 3 जगह से टेस्ट सीरीज कर रहे हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि उससे आ जाएगा, उससे आ जाएगा, उससे आ जाएगा, किसी से नहीं आएगा. यू जस्ट नीड टू डू प्रैक्टिस एंड द प्रैक्टिस इज व्हाट यू कैन गेट इट फ्रॉम द जेरोक्स शॉप. चीप एंड बेस्ट, क्वालिटी वही है, बस ये है कि डिस्कशन नहीं मिलेगा, कोई बात नहीं, कम से कम प्रैक्टिस हो जाएगी. सो ठीक है, दैट इज ऑल फॉर टुडे एंड विल मीट इन अ मेन स्पेसिफिक क्लास दैट विल बी मोर important. If any problem, the man there outside, we can meet and we can discuss.